The Sky fans are blaming Tyler Marsh for Angel Reese losing the game at the free throw line and ruining the Chicago Sky's chances. Angel played a hell of a game, 15 points, 20 rebounds. We cannot poo-poo that.
Angel Reese just got slapped with the worst label possible. And not by trolls, not by rivals, but by her own fan base. She was literally voted the worst player on the Chicago Sky roster. That's not a rumor. That's not an opinion. That's cold, hard public humiliation. And it came right after she dropped a double-double. You'd think that would buy her some credit. Instead, boom, lowest ranked, bottom of the barrel. And here's the best part. This wasn't even close. Multiple polls and forums lit up like Christmas morning. And Reese wasn't just dead last. She was so far down that fans were comparing her to players who don't even get minutes. That's the level of collapse we're talking about.
Angel Reese is at the bottom of the pick and roll shot attempts list, and it kind of makes sense if you really watch. So on her first game back from injury, somebody interviewed her and asked her, what do you think about Uzan joining the team? How's that change things? And she said, hopefully I'll get more pick and roll touches. Unfortunately, that just hasn't happened. And it's more so, in my opinion, that she's just not getting that play called for her. It's not something that the team is running. Pick and rolls for Angel is not happening. So there is a list, but Trini does, you look at his stats, when he posts stats, they'll be right. And so he put out a list of the top pick and roll shot attempts for front court players, and Angel wasn't even anywhere to be found.
Now here's where things start spinning off the rails, because Angel didn't take this quietly. She didn't go reflective. She didn't hit the gym and say, I'll show them. Instead, she went full meltdown mode, sideline attitude, practice drama, eye rolls, cold stares. She turned team chemistry into a solo act, because apparently when you get ranked worst on the roster, the only thing left to do is blow everything up on the way out. But let's be fair, was the vote a little harsh? Maybe. She did have 20 rebounds. She did battle through injury. She shows up, sure, but even her most loyal fans had to admit the production just hasn't translated into wins. And at some point, people stop caring about box scores and start caring about results.
Telling Angel to miss the free throw verbatim, she just missed the free throw, it happens. But in this video, Angel was clearly talking to someone about intentionally missing it. How y'all gonna blame Tyler Marsh because she missed the free throw to end the game? Tyler Marsh said, no, I will not let y'all blame me for this one.
The moment she missed those free throws, the fuse was already lit. The game was right there, 1 point away from making it interesting. She stepped to the line, everyone watching, and then nothing. Bricked. The silence after that miss was louder than any boo. That's when the shift happened. That's when fans stopped saying she's just a rookie and started saying maybe she's just not that good. And right after that, the poll dropped, ranked the worst player. The numbers didn't lie. She wasn't overlooked. She wasn't ignored. She was chosen by her own supporters as the weakest link. And just when you think it couldn't get worse, the locker room reportedly went cold. The trust started fading. Players stopped passing as much. Coaches stopped drawing up plays. It was no longer build around Angel. It was get through the season. That's how quick the mood flipped. And for someone who built an entire brand around confidence, dominance, and knowing your worth, this hit differently. This wasn't about critics. This was about Chicago itself saying, we're done. The meltdown didn't stop with fans. Angel Reese took the criticism and doubled down.
Angel Reese has made her triumphant return from a back injury. That's right, a back injury. Yeah, absolutely, that she had suffered at some point that we don't exactly know at what point she suffered said back injury.
On drama. At practice, she wasn't just frustrated, she was icy. Reporters noted the energy shift. Coaches could feel it. Players were over it. One insider even said the locker room felt like walking into a funeral, but without the flowers. Let's pause and zoom in on what really happened next. Because instead of taking this ranking as motivation, Reese went into full damage control, not on the court, but online.
Well, it didn't take long for the Chicago Sky as an organization to get back to what it is they do best, which is the diabolical celebration of Angel Reese's double-doubles in losses. I mean, I think the other day I saw a statistic, this would have been prior to this loss, that there were something like 15 and 31 when she gets a double-double.
Posts started flying, subtweets about fake support, hints about being misunderstood, emoji cryptic enough to confuse a NASA team. It was classic deflection. Meanwhile, fans were already combing through stats. Turns out her field goal percentage, one of the lowest on the team. Pick and roll touches, nearly non-existent, and shot attempts during clutch moments, yeah, they weren't even tracking them because there weren't any. But hold up, this is where the whole thing gets funnier than expected.
Angel only leading Natasha is wild. So let's look at the list. And I know some people might say, well, Angel was injured for a good portion of the season. So was some people on this list. And we get pick and rolls for Camilla, but Angel is, again, second to worst.
People tried to say it's the coach's fault, blame Tyler Marsh, say he's not using her right, say she's being iced out. But the reality? She's had the ball, she's had the chances, and she's missed them at the worst possible times. Missed free throws, blown layups, fumbled passes. If this were a video game, someone would have rage quit already. And then came the pick and roll report. Front court players across the league were getting those opportunities. Players who missed games, players who played fewer minutes, but not Reese. She wasn't even on the chart. That's not coaching, that's play recognition, or in this case, the lack of it.
In that moment, was that a decision to have her miss, or just what was the thinking there in that scenario?
No, she asked if we wanted her to miss. I told her to make it. It would have only been a 1 or 2 point game. It'd been a 1 possession game anyway. So no, she just missed the free throw. It happens. So no.
She just missed the free throw.
So what did the fans do next? They broke the internet with excuses. The theory crafting hit a new level. Blame the refs, blame the media, blame the stars in retrograde. At one point, someone even accused the league of deliberately sabotaging Angel Reese just to make Caitlin Clark look better, because clearly a missed free throw must be a part of a national conspiracy. But here's the twist. Angel's numbers don't lie. When she gets a double-double, the Sky are still losing. They're over 15 games below .500 in those performances. So sure, the stats are there, but they're empty calories. Good for highlight reels, not good for wins. And just when you thought the excuses couldn't stack any higher, people started saying she's not getting support from her teammates, that she's doing everything, but she's not. Camila Cardoso's beating everyone down the floor. Marina Mabrey is taking over fourth quarters. The team's doing their jobs. It's the forced narrative that's collapsing. Yet somehow Reese remains the headline. Not for greatness, but for chaos, for clapping back, for sideline stares and cryptic Instagram stories. And in that moment, being voted the worst didn't just sting, it exposed the entire house of cards. The real turning point wasn't just the vote, it was how quickly the fan base turned it into a full-blown crime scene. You'd think Angel Reese committed treason. Message boards blew up. Reddit threads hit hundreds of comments. Sky fans didn't just vote her worst, they posted receipts to back it up. Here's where the house really caught fire. Every moment that looked questionable, clipped, replayed, dissected, missed box outs, lazy rotations, no weak side help. Suddenly, there were video compilations dedicated to showing how often she jogs back on defense. One post was titled, "Reese running eventually." And it got over 10,000 views. It wasn't just fans venting. Analysts jumped in, numbers were released showing her defensive rating slipping below average for the position. The Sky weren't just struggling, they were collapsing every time she hit the floor in the fourth quarter. One report showed her net rating in crunch time was among the worst in the entire league. Now here's where it gets hilariously messy. Because Reese defenders tried to spin it. They threw out every excuse in the book. She's still learning. She's carrying the media weight. She's the reason people watch. But when you're being voted the worst by your own supporters, those talking points fall apart fast. The team dynamic got even weirder. Players stopped clapping for her at the line. Practice videos started surfacing. Guess who wasn't smiling anymore? Team huddles were tighter, and Reese was standing 3 steps back. Body language doesn't lie. Then someone dug up the moment when she waved off the play call during a timeout. Right on camera, the coach was drawing something up. Reese shook her head, and that's when even neutral fans said, "All right, this is a problem." But then the spotlight shifted to something even more embarrassing. Enter the stat nobody wanted to talk about. When Angel Reese gets a double-double, the Sky still lose. It's not a one-off, it's a pattern. The WNBA actually recorded that Chicago is 15-31 in games where she gets her stat line. That's not dominance, that's damage control. And while her defenders were busy yelling about brand deals and popularity, they forgot one thing: basketball is still about winning, and the Sky haven't done much of that with Reese leading the charge. And this is the part where the narrative totally falls apart. Because at the exact same time Angel Reese was getting torched in fan polls, Caitlin Clark was filling arenas, breaking records, and getting teams to relocate games just to hold the crowd. No spin, no filters, just results. It's hard to keep defending someone when your rival is literally making history while you're arguing about why a layup didn't go in. The funniest part? This all could have been avoided. Angel Reese didn't need to become the main character in a disaster movie. She had the tools, she had the platform, but instead of silencing critics with her game, she let the excuses speak louder than her performance. And here's where the delusion hits peak altitude. Sky fans started comparing her to legends, not current all-stars, not other rookies, legends. There were legit posts suggesting she was the future of the league, right after she missed the game-winning free throw and finished with the worst plus-minus on the team. At the same time, Caitlin Clark was putting up triple-doubles, hitting logo threes, and winning games that actually mattered. Yet Reese's crew was out here throwing tantrums about media bias and pretending ESPN had some secret agenda. That's not strategy, that's desperation. And it wasn't just social media, even local sports radio was done. One Chicago host said, "Reese is turning the locker room into a group therapy session. Practice footage confirmed it. Eye rolls during huddles, shrugging off assistant coaches, rolling her neck after substitutions." The camera didn't lie. But let's take a moment to rewind to the start of this spiral. Remember when Angel Reese first joined the Sky? The hype was unreal. Press tours, shoe deals, Chicago Barbie branding. You would have thought she cured world hunger. But all that pressure, it turned her season into a PR campaign instead of a basketball career. The stats never lined up with the noise. For every double-double, there were 6 turnovers. For every post-game interview, there was a missed defensive assignment. And eventually, even her fans got tired of pretending it was someone else's fault. The coach, they blamed him. Then the assistant coaches, then the team doctor. Even the team photographer caught strays. At one point, fans claimed the WNBA schedule was rigged just to wear her out. You couldn't make it up. But let's not ignore the elephant in the arena. Angel Reese isn't a bust. That's not the point. She's not a scrub. She works hard. She fights for rebounds. She's tough. But this idea that she's being held back by everyone else, that narrative collapsed the moment fans voted her worst player. They weren't fooled by the filters or the camera angles or the social media spin. They saw the actual games and they were done pretending. Now Chicago has to decide, do they build around the brand or the scoreboard? Because right now, those two aren't matching up. By now, Angel Reese's fan base wasn't just on damage control. They were building an entire alternate reality. In this world, the WNBA was rigged. The media hated her. The refs were corrupt, and every loss was just part of a grand conspiracy to stop her from succeeding. But then reality kicked the door open. Because just as those theories were getting loud, ESPN dropped the actual viewership numbers. And guess what? The game's pulling real ratings. The ones where Caitlin Clark played, not Reese, not even close. The receipts were brutal. Entire teams were moving to larger arenas just to fit the crowd when Clark showed up. Meanwhile, Reese's big sold-out moments were getting exposed. Turns out a lot of those seats, comped. Giveaway tickets, youth camps, sponsors, not real paying fans. It's hard to break records when half the crowd didn't even know who was playing. But it didn't stop there. The most viewed claims? Turns out those numbers included everything. Highlights, Instagram reels, and even YouTube thumbnails. If someone blinked at her clip on their feed, that counted. That's how far they had to stretch to make it sound impressive. Then came the desperate move, the blame the refs play. This one was gold. Suddenly, every missed shot was a missed call. Every foul was biased. Fans started clipping random contact plays and yelling sabotage, like it was some secret agent mission to make Angel Reese look bad. The refs were just doing their job. Reese wasn't finishing at the rim. That's not a conspiracy. That's bad execution. But when you're out of arguments, blaming the whistle is always the last card to play. And while that circus was happening, Clark was busy stacking highlight reels, signing endorsement deals, and making making entire teams change their game plans just to try and contain her. The contrast couldn't have been clearer. One player was dominating, the other was detonating. But let's zoom in on the real problem brewing in Chicago. Because behind all the noise, the Sky as a franchise were falling apart. Players looked checked out. The offense had no direction. The defense was sloppy, and at the center of it, Angel Reese, who was supposed to be the new face of the rebuild, suddenly became the face of dysfunction. Even teammates started showing cracks, fewer assists, quieter celebrations, more side eyes. You didn't need a team source to see it. It was on full display every time they hit the floor. The wildest part? Angel Reese didn't even need to be in this position. She had the exposure, the market, the backing. Chicago was ready to support her. All she had to do was play ball, stay focused, and rise with the team. But instead of stepping up, she spiraled. And here's where things got even more ridiculous. Because the moment she started facing heat, her camp leaned harder into branding. More social posts, more merch drops, more fashion statements. It was like they were trying to distract from the scoreboard with lip gloss and hashtags. And fans noticed they weren't buying the filters anymore. They wanted wins. Reese's defenders kept saying she was young and learning, but so was Caitlin Clark, except Clark was hitting game winners, dropping dimes, and dragging Indiana to relevance. That's not learning, that's leading. Meanwhile, Reese was out here waving clipboards, giving side-eye during timeouts, and pretending the entire league was out to get her. That's not leading, that's losing. But here's the part nobody wants to admit out loud. Reese isn't built for the spotlight she created. The pressure, it's real. The expectations, she helped inflate them. Now the crash is hitting hard, and instead of leveling up, she's blaming everyone in the building. The coach, the system, the fans, even the refs. It's a checklist of deflection, and the results speak louder than any excuse. Chicago's record is awful, the chemistry is worse, and the only thing going viral is the chaos, not the highlights. Let's not forget what the numbers really show. Reese might be getting rebounds, but she's also dragging down the offensive flow. Her turnover rate is among the worst for forwards in the league, and when it's crunch time, the ball isn't even going to her. That says everything. If you're the star, but your team hides you in the last 2 minutes, are you really the star? And don't get it twisted, this isn't hate, this is accountability. Reese has potential, but right now, potential isn't enough, and Chicago's running out of patience. Then came the final blow, and it wasn't from a rival, it was from her own people. When fans vote you the worst on your team, it's not because they dislike you, it's because they're exhausted. The stats are empty, the drama is heavy, and the results are gone. That vote wasn't shade, it was a message. The fallout didn't stop at fan votes. The tension spilled right into the front office. Whispers started flying that the coaching staff was on edge, unsure whether to keep building around Reese or start clearing the runway for someone else. And it wasn't just talk, rotations changed, play calling shifted, minutes were adjusted, quietly but deliberately. That's when the behind-the-scenes cracks started breaking into the open. Reporters at practice noticed something strange. Reese was no longer getting the same attention from staff. The drills that used to run through her were now focused elsewhere. The so-called face of the franchise was getting treated like a role player. That's not shade, that's strategy. And here's the kicker, her own teammates didn't seem too bothered. No one protested, no one looked shocked. It's almost like they expected it, because the truth is, the locker room was exhausted. They were tired of walking on eggshells, tired of pretending the problem was somewhere else. And once the votes confirmed what they already felt, that was it. The reset button got hit, without her. Now let's dig into the part that made the league itself uncomfortable. The Reese Clark narrative, this fake rivalry. On paper, it made sense. 2 rookies, 2 big names, 2 brands. But on the court, it wasn't even close. Caitlin Clark was putting up record-breaking rookie numbers, lighting up defenses, and actually improving her team's win percentage. Angel Reese, high effort, yes, but low impact. Her team was sinking, and her stats couldn't save them. And every time Clark pulled off another highlight reel moment, Reese's fan base got louder, but for the wrong reasons. More excuses, more blame, more conspiracy theories. It was turning into a coping mechanism. Then came the legal buzz nobody saw coming. The WNBA's internal marketing department reportedly started reviewing branding strategies. Why? Because Reese's image, once seen as marketable, was now tied to volatility. Sponsors don't want unpredictable, they want results. There was even talk, quiet but serious, about whether continuing to promote the Reese brand so heavily was hurting the league's image. That's not opinion, that's business. And don't forget, the same media that once hyped her non-stop, they've started shifting their focus. Less features, fewer interviews, more coverage going to players who are actually winning. The silence from her side after the vote was the loudest part. No statement, no motivation speech, just passive-aggressive social media, emojis, and vague posts. The same energy used to defend herself when she was winning, nowhere to be found, and maybe that's the real story. Not that she was voted worst, but that when it happened, no one stood up for her. At this point, there's no more hiding, no more rookie learning curve excuses, no more blaming the system. Angel Reese is officially in the hot seat, and this time, the seat wasn't heated by haters. It was her own fans who lit the fire. And this is where the image completely breaks apart. The so-called Chicago Barbie? She's not carrying the team. She's not transforming the culture. She's not even lifting the locker room. And the sad part? She still has the talent. She has the grit, but the ego and excuses are getting in the way of everything else. This wasn't a hit job. This was accountability. Voted worst doesn't mean she's trash. It means fans are done pretending, done enabling, done clapping for fourth quarter bricks and blaming the scoreboard on the coach. And now, the rest of the league is watching, because once your own team stops defending you, the rest of the WNBA starts pulling back too. Endorsements cool off, media shifts coverage, even teammates get quiet. Here's the final slap in the face to the entire brand playbook. Caitlin Clark never needed help to be the face of the league. She earned it through actual games, with actual stats, against real competition. There's no marketing spin behind her, just results. Angel Reese had the spotlight handed to her, but when it was time to show up, she disappeared into drama. And now, she's being remembered for votes, not victories. Chicago needs a rebuild, the fans need a reset, and Angel Reese, she needs a reality check. Because rebounds are great, but leadership is louder, and the scoreboard always wins. If you're enjoying this content and want to support the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button and stay locked in. Thank you.